I'm going to record this if you don't mind.
Yeah. No, sounds perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. How's everything been? It's been a little while.
Yeah, no, it's been good. Just busy over here, which is good.
Yeah. Good. Um, yeah, I noticed you like it's up to hear you like the presentation from the replenishment app that was shared in the user advisory council.
Yeah, no, the Delta Faucet one is pretty spectacular. I mean, it's pretty much what we're trying to implement like a pick list system. Um, as we're trying to kind of increase our assembly counts and being able to kind of move material around a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we're trying to do. Like be able to kind of create that Kanban system.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And do you think you have what you need to start implementing that? Are there any questions, things that we can help with?
Yeah, so that's ultimately what. So my coworker
Hello, sorry.
Yeah, so that's ultimately what
So
we're working on right now. We've created a table that for the time being we're manually entering in work orders, and so that's bringing in the work order number, which is the table ID. We're bringing in the subassembly, the quantity, and then the date. And so that's information that we're pulling in from NetSuite. And so then
okay.
based on what subassembly that work order is for, that's how we want to generate the pick list.
Okay. And where do the pick lists live? I mean, would we?
So yeah, so that's exactly what we're trying to solve for. Because I mean, ultimately, the pick list is the most true in NetSuite because that's where the bomb lives. So there's a couple ways that we can do it. We can either have a connector call to NetSuite that says, look up the bill of materials for this subassembly and pull that in every time.
Okay. Does this information exist already in NetSuite?
The bill of materials exists in NetSuite, but we don't have that.
Like the one broken down by subassembly.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So that's the connector that I'm trying to figure out right now is how do we make that call to NetSuite to bring that information?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And so one of the things that we were looking at was if we could have. I wasn't sure if it would be better to make that call every time that a pick list is issued, or to just create tables in NetSuite for every bill of materials or for every like subassembly, which also works, but then it ends up, with us having to create, 20, 30 different tables.
Yeah. I would say option one is better, to be honest.
I agree.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I don't know. I'm always just like having two sources of truth. I'm always like a little bit reluctant to that.
No, I completely agree. So what I was thinking so the idea was if we have tables in Tulip that have the bill of materials on them, having a refresh button so that, because the bill of materials doesn't change very often.
Yeah.
And so either when a change happens or, once a week, kind of having that refresh button to be able to update all those tables.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but why? Because why can't you just put it like when the picking actually starts? Like at the start of that step, go into NetSuite and run it then, and like not even store it in a table, just store it like
tablets belong to
I don't know where, like
So just
bring it in the app on these so they can try them over there.
Okay. So when you click, so right now we have an interactive table.
Yeah, I got out.
That says that every time you click a row, you perform an action based on part of that table record.
Yeah, I'm actually having a little bit of a hard time imagining. You have the app like somewhat working that you could share?
Yeah, do you want me to just screen share?
Yeah, that'd be awesome actually if you could do that.
Yeah.
And Alan, by the way, sorry, I muted you because I think there was some background noise. And hey, everyone who joined a little bit later. And
my apologies, I didn't know I was not muted.
Oh, no worries.
Alrighty. Can you see my screen now?
Yep. Yeah, we got it.
So we have it pretty simple right now, but so there's this table here, which is an interactive table. Okay, there we go. So the data source, so we have it set up as the work orders table where, here it is. So right now we just entered in some fake information
Okay.
where the ID is the work order number, what subassembly it's for, the quantity, and then the date issued.
Okay.
That's
Perfect.
all information that we want to bring in through a connector. And so on this table here, there's a trigger set up on it right now
Awesome.
that says, when a row is selected, we want to load the subassembly into a variable, and then go to step by name, and then the name of each step currently is based on that variable of the subassembly.
Okay. Okay, perfect. But the issue is how many different sub-assemblies are there? I mean, like
Yeah,
is
that's where it gets kind of unwieldy, because I think it would be about 20 or so.
yeah, it's a bit much. Um, I mean, I think, and I think Grant will be joining in the next half an hour, like in the second half an hour, because he was busy this first half an hour, but he can also give some insight. But I think the best way to do it, like, why can't you just have a new step that opens up, and when it's opened, it runs a connector function to NetSuite. You store the bill of material data in NetSuite, and you just pull it in and display it in Tulip.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think that'd be one of the better ways to go about it, because then it's less things that have to be stored in Tulip.
Yeah, exactly. And if this information is ready in NetSuite, there's no reason why it should be duplicated.
Yeah, and so that was actually, following that line of thought, that was one of our other things where in the user council, there was a lot of talk about bringing in that information from NetSuite as an array.
Yeah,
So that's definitely something that I'm really interested in learning
yeah,
how to create those connectors to run that.
yeah, for sure. And actually, I think Evan from PFF reached out a couple of weeks ago. He was trying to implement something. I can't remember exactly what, but
Yeah,
yeah,
so Evan is working on kind of trying to get this connector running. And so I've been trying to do kind of all of the back end on the Tulip side, so that once that connector's in place, it's just easier to run it that way. But I also wanted to kind of become more knowledgeable about how to run connectors on my own,
yeah.
to be able to just kind of move a little quicker.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I mean, it's a little bit different every time, but maybe I can share my screen. And hey, Dave, we're actually talking about NetSuite.
Oh, fun stuff.
Yeah. Here we go. All right, can everybody see my screen? Yep. So essentially, what you'll have to do is, I don't think I have any that are currently. Maybe this one, the forecast. Yep, it's okay. Look, so I can do it here. So essentially, it will be exactly the same as this. So let me see if it's working. So this is what we often use for testing, and you can see essentially what we're doing is we're getting the forecast for Boston, but you're essentially imagine replacing. So let me see. Yeah. So here the data actually lives in here, in this object. Yep. So exactly. Imagine replacing the forecast with parts that are in the bill of material. So here, when you go to select the output, you see how you have this new option to list the values. So you don't have to hard code in individual outputs. You can just say, okay, list the values. So it's an array that's coming back from NetSuite. So it's a dynamic length. One subassembly can have 3 parts. The next one can have 120. It doesn't matter because it's you're getting in a list of values, and then you just go in and here instead of just weather items, you get back bill of materials. So 5 of part number ABC, 3 of part number whatever, and then once you have this set up, I can show you how we can actually go ahead and call it. So here I'll just simply rename this function to office hours. By the way, feel free to stop me if you have any questions. Yeah, so I'll get this one going. I'll just
I got
go
a
ahead
question
and
on that. So do we need to use do we need to enable anything specific in NetSuite to run that, or
yep, yes. So you have to write a what's called a scriptlet in NetSuite. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Suite script. Sorry, that's what it is. And yeah, Suitelets, exactly these ones. But I think Evan had already built some at PFF.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, no,
yeah,
definitely found a
yeah,
couple other ones.
yeah, exactly. So what I'll do is I'll just add a button here, and I'll say, okay, when the button is pressed, run the run the connector function. Where did I put it? Open weather, office hours, city. I'll just hard code it right now. I'll just say New York. State, also hard coded New York, and we'll save the result as a new array. So here we'll say weather forecast. Great, I can save this, and now I can embed an interactive table. So I'll drop this off up in here, make it nice and big, and here it won't be a Tulip table like you've been doing, but it'll be a variable, and I'll just select it from weather forecast. So now I can go ahead and test this out. So I'll open up the app. I'll go over in here. Okay, one thing I forgot to do is actually add the columns. Why is it not showing up? Let me see, I might have done something wrong in the connectors.
I think you, for the outputs, you also have to set them as arrays, maybe.
I think if it's done, no, because if it's done in the main object, I think that's, or you know what, maybe, do I need to save it as a variable because I'm doing that?
Yeah, I remember you have to like make a variable, maybe.
Yeah. Here it is. Yeah, exactly. That's what is going on. Okay, exactly. So it was my fault. You don't have to save it as an array, but you have to save it as a variable because I was already declaring it as an array in the connector function. And then in here now we have all these items. And again, Eddie, if you can just imagine these, instead of like humidity, pressure, whatever temperature, is just part number, quantity, like, you know, what warehouse they're in or whatever other information you're getting back from the RESTlet.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what we're trying to achieve. So that's perfect.
Yeah,
That seems a lot easier.
yeah, yeah, right. Because it can be dynamic, and you know, you can, you know, here there's like 4 pages of information, so it's, and you can just display it any way you want. Actually, Dave, hadn't you set up a RESTlet that gets exactly that, like the bill of materials?
Yeah, I used to have like each variable as a single unit for the output, but I just moved everything to arrays just recently for
Yeah.
like our.
Yeah, and you think maybe afterwards, if I put the two of you in touch, you could share like some of the RESTlet that is being used in NetSuite to output that?
Sure, like the scripts that are like from the NetSuite end. What
Yeah,
that script
exactly.
looks like. Yeah, I
Yeah.
will say, Eddie, I'm not an expert in this stuff, but so I'm just kind of like building off of what had been left behind on Maze, but I would be sure I can definitely share what I do know.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Because it's been an adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, but and Eddie, have you already connected to NetSuite for other things, or is this the first one? The first thing.
I mean, Evan has done another connection to NetSuite where we pull in some information from work orders.
Okay. Okay, so but at least you've done like the authentication part, and okay, that's good. Yeah, because that's the one thing that can sometimes take a little while. So as long as you have all the authentication part, then it's just a matter of adding more restlets and extracting the data you want from NetSuite. Hey Mark, hey Justin.
Hey guys.
Hey. Yeah, so Dave, if you could, that would be awesome. I'll put you guys in touch via email after this. And if you could just get whatever part, and like try to like maybe like sometimes the names are like pretty specific to your account in NetSuite. So Eddie, you'll probably have to like customize it a little bit and make it fit your instance of NetSuite.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's just it's nice having a jumping off point.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Awesome. Cool. Are there any other questions from folks here? I saw that a couple of more people joined.
I may have a puzzle.
You have a puzzle? That's good. Let's solve it together.
I think I may not have the best route for it, but essentially I've got a variable that's a text, but I want to convert it to an interval. So essentially it's a number coming in as a text, and I've converted it to, I think what I've done is I've converted it from a text to a number and then from a number to an interval, but it still hasn't like worked out very nicely.
Huh. Yeah, let's take a look at it. So this was, we actually just added this function. Did you start using it already? The seconds?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. You mind sharing your screen?
Sure.
Awesome, thanks.
But this is a judgment-free zone of the quality of my app building.
No, Dave. All 12 of us are here to judge you. Okay, we'll be extremely tough.
Okay, so I'll show you. I've got a table somewhere. Don't look at that. Don't look at that. So here's a table, okay, and we have these things called NetSuite routing minutes. It's essentially the plan time for the production. I'm calculating the actual time that's going to these transactions, but I want to kind of do a comparison between the actual and the NetSuite routing. So the NetSuite routing, as I'm pulling it in from NetSuite, it's coming in as a text. I think I could change that in the API. I haven't tried that yet, but I'll give that a go. But I think there's a way that I could convert this to a number and then to an interval. I've got this connector. I created this trigger here. So as they like input this work order, and then as they exit the step, I'm looking to have it upload that number, and I multiplied. So it's like 4 times 60 to get it to the seconds. And then I added 1. So it's not a 0, I guess. I did this like a few days ago. So I'm
that's perfect. So yeah, converting it gets it to minutes.
And then I made it into a variable, which is the minutes here. And then
Perfect.
doing another where I'm converting seconds to intervals using that variable. And then I'm calling it that interval.
Okay, so I think there, like, despite what the name of the function is, which is seconds to interval, it's actually milliseconds to interval. So if you try multiplying that by 1,000.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Now, would you suggest that it's within the brackets or outside of the brackets?
I would suggest that it's within.
Yep. Okay. I knew that. That was a trick question. Okay.
Okay. NetSuite routing interval. Perfect.
I think that may do me good, or maybe not. This one's a little funky here. Now I'm getting a little shy. I gotta look at this, but I think that may help me out there, because when I'm doing a few compare contrast before I'm inputting it in. So I'll go a little deeper.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe we can just build an app together from scratch. I can build it here and show you what it could look like. Once we have a text, getting it to a number and then into interval.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. I think, and I'm also hoping what we did just now may be the solution, because that was what was happening. Was I would run it, and you could see that this is like 1 minute and 9 seconds, whereas I was hoping that this would be 1 minute, but it's actually like point. It's a millisecond there. So I think that multiplying that by 1,000 may solve that problem.
Yeah.
But I'll hand you the microphone. I'll let you.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. I mean, I didn't quite follow all the data manipulation that was happening, but I think that should probably solve it. But that's also where we're going through and changing the documentation because it should be milliseconds. The
Yep.
function says seconds, but it's actually milliseconds. All right. Awesome. So I'm just gonna create a table. Just call it office hours interval. There it is. And it'll just be dead simple. We'll just, actually, no, it won't be dead simple. We'll add a text for the, like, we'll go from text into integer time, and then finally into the interval. Here it is. Boom. Okay, perfect. I'll go back into my app. I'll add a record placeholder to, I need to refresh because I just created it. Here we go. Office hours interval. Just call it current for now. Okay, perfect. And then I'll just add a new step all the way at the top. And so what I'll do is the first thing, I'll just get a text input because that's what we're starting from. When you get it back from NetSuite, it's a text, and we'll just say interval text. Perfect. I'll create this default value, leave it empty. And now I'll add a button. So the first thing we'll want to do is just convert it from seconds, from text to seconds. So I'll just say data manipulation, store data, the expression will be text to number, and then we'll pass in the variable that we just created, interval text. Here, Dave, in your case, you would just pass in what you're getting back from NetSuite, and I'll just store it as a interval number. Perfect. And then we can just go ahead and display this just to make sure that it's being converted correctly. Can open up the player, restart it here so it goes back to the start. Oh, whoops, that's the wrong app. Okay, I go to 12. Okay, good. Now it still says 12, but this is a number. So what this means is now I can just go ahead and add another button here, put it all the way at the bottom over here, and it'll just be data manipulation, store, where the data will be expression, and here we'll say seconds to interval, and it will be at variable interval number. And so again, inside the brackets, I'll multiply it by 1,000, save, and then here we'll just save it as a new variable. This will be type integer, interval. Yeah, just leave it as interval. Awesome, and now we'll go ahead and display it. Now if I go back to the app, you can see here, just convert it to seconds. Did that make sense, Dave? Sorry, I ran through it pretty quick.
No, that was good. I feel like I followed on the first go. That just kind of like solidified it.
Yeah. So yeah, the multiplying it by 1,000, I think will help. I mean, I don't have to say. I think you know how to save it to the table record. But now that you have all three in the different 3 data types, you can save it to the table. But yeah, it's. I think I'm 90% sure it's that converting from milliseconds to seconds that what was throwing you off.
It's always the milliseconds.
Yeah, exactly. Devil's in the detail. Awesome. How's everything else been going for you, Dave?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Trying to balance a lot of things, but we're doing some pretty cool stuff with the Tulip, and looking to get just better connection. We have some blind spots in our process, and so I'm making certain operations go through the app, and we're getting a little more visibility as to where the minutes are going. So that's
Okay.
pretty exciting stuff. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I'm still working with the OnShape connection, and I just ended up doing like an open link. We tried to do like a thumbnail, having a thumbnail from OnShape in the document, which is like the bill of material drawing for
Mm.
others. But
Yeah.
I was able to accomplish it once, but the image is like really small. It's a limitation of the OnShape asset at the time. But
Yeah. Have you spoken to Brian about embedding an iframe directly in the app?
he mentioned the iframe. He mentioned it kind of early on. I could definitely pursue it again. I think I'm more interested in making sure that the connections are like happening and existing, and I was able to do that, so that's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I mean, if you can open it in a new window, that also works. But if you want it directly within the app, if you can put it in an iframe, like some websites block it sometimes, but if OnShape allows it, it's a pretty nice way to just stay everything within Tulip.
Definitely try it.
Yeah. Awesome. And by the way, I think there's two new people that joined that I haven't met yet. Um, Justin and Griggs. You guys mind introducing yourselves real quick?
Yeah, I'm Internet of Things intern at Genie. I'm just stopping in because I don't have any meetings right now, and it's always beneficial to hear what kind of problems people are working on and how you guys get them to work out. So I'm just listening, fly on the wall.
Yeah. Which facility are you working in?
I'm in the Redmond hub. I work for Audra Kirkland.
Okay, yeah. That's where Austin was as well, right?
Correct. Yeah, he's on paternity leave.
Yeah, I heard. That's awesome. Great. Well, welcome. Yeah. If you have any questions, let us know.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Hedy. I was talking to you, Giovanni, on the community forum earlier about the connector too.
Which one? Sorry, there was quite a few conversations. The connector to.
To Outlook?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, I responded to you today.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So
Yeah.
I'm still working on the, I'm not sure. I think trying to get the token, the authentication token, I think is throwing me through Azure, which we don't have right now. So I'm not sure if I'm on the right path to get it to connect right now.
Did you check out the Graph API at the bottom there? Below that? This piece?
Yes.
Were you able to get that to connect to your account?
No, that's where I'm at right now.
Ah. Yeah,
so
so
I can get to the Graph Explorer, but I don't know how to connect. I mean, I get the Graph Microsoft Me. I can test it with that, but I guess I need like a username or something or the beer token to connect to my calendar. So
Yeah.
I would be actual on the connection host part of Tulip, I'm guessing. Let me see.
On the connector host, yeah. I mean, you need to. I think, and let me see if I still have it here.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so it looks like this one's set up. Okay. Yeah, no, I don't have it
it's
set up.
it's in the bearer token is where you had it, Gio. You had it in the bearer token of the access token there.
Yeah, but it changes every time, right? Or like it changes every so often.
That's what I have an example of one way we're doing it, by getting a token from hitting a different API.
Oh yeah, do you mind share or what? You want to share? Or do you want me to pull it
Yeah,
up?
I can share. But I think I have to like I probably can't show the secret or whatever, you know?
Yeah, that's what I figure. So if you can share something, later on with
Well,
your keys
I can share
hiding.
this. Hold on, Gio, let me like send this to you, maybe. Are you sharing your screen right now, Gio? No?
I'm not, but I can.
Okay, so I can do it. I can share this little window I just popped up. So I just popped up a little snippet. Can you see that?
Yep.
So we basically hit this this login here, this endpoint here, and if you send in your client ID, which is like your name or whatever, for like you have to like there's some documentation. I'm not the best at authentication, to be perfectly honest with you, but I didn't even do this. But what happens is, we basically send in this information with our associated secret, which is like our password that they give us when we say we're going to start making these connections to you.
Mhm.
And then they send you in return, basically a token. And then you can use that token to call your calendar. So Outlook has like the token.
Oh, nice.
The Outlook calendar is actually a little bit confusing because there's two tokens. The first one's a refresh token, and the other one's the access token. So your
Okay.
refresh token doesn't go away. Like when you set up your account, you get like this refresh token. I'm not sure exactly how you set it up, but you have to like set up some sort of deal with them that says, and it's all online, but basically they give you this refresh token and a secret, and they say, remember these things, and then send them to us, and then we'll give you an access token. And that access token runs out every, I think it's like 90 minutes or so. So if your access token fails, then you run the refresh token again to get a new access token. And that is what you use into what Gio showed you was that bearer
Okay.
token. So the fastest way to do this is to try and do it like not worrying about authentication for now, and just see if you can get the static access token,
Mhm.
and then just try and get it to work in Tulip. And if you can get that working, then you
Yeah.
can go through the effort of because like all you really need to do is copy and paste your access token. And Gio, I'm not sure if you still have that graph endpoint. Actually, I could probably open up the graph endpoint.
And by the way, one quick thing to notice is that this is not a GET request. This is a POST request. Because that's important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have documentation that describes this somewhere in here, and there's different versions for depending on where what your network's on. But like I think that if you just have like a standard network that's not like behind some government cloud or something, it should be pretty straightforward.
By the way, Mark, I don't know if you're sharing. You're still sharing the image.
Yeah, I'm trying to log into the graph here.
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to? Okay, well.
If you have it open, that's cool. I'm just trying to find Graph API, Graph Explorer.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, this brings up a good point though, because like we should have some documentation around this, around how to go and get this information, because it is important and it is something that So probably in the next couple of days, I'll write up a community post on how to do this, because I think it
For
can be.
Microsoft specifically?
Yeah, for Microsoft specifically. For Excel, like it doesn't matter. Then once you do it for Microsoft, I mean, it's applicable to all the Microsoft products. But I think it is useful to kind of go through it step by step.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Thank you.
yeah, what are you trying to build, by the way? What will be this? Will this be?
Well, my company, they want us to be pretty much an ERP. But we'll try if by seeing the calendar, I'm thinking that they could post the work orders in there and say start date, end date, and see visually when the work order is going to be done.
Oh,
Okay.
you know what? There might be you might have a better, you might find it easier to not use the
The Outlook?
like Outlook. Yeah, I mean, Outlook's a calendar, but you
Yeah.
can easily create a schedule. you know, if you're talking about like a production schedule,
Hmm.
Outlook might not be the best option for that, because, you know, you can layer calendar events on top of each other. It's a lot more, it may be more work than it's worth. All you really want to get from it is the visualization.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't have any example of how to do a visualization
So I can show, we have one
by
in the
day.
library actually. Let me
Oh,
show you a
that'd be
resource.
great.
Yeah, this is this one doesn't rely on any special thing, but anything outside of what Tulip already has built in. But this is in the library. It's called the resource calendar. So, I mean, this is just an example of visualizing a calendar. So I can make a calendar which is like, let's just say this is a job 1 or something, and I'll put it in location like test location. I'll start it maybe on Friday the 6th, and then I'll end it maybe on Saturday the 7th or something, or maybe Sunday the 8th, right? And I can choose a resource and my description, and I can create that event. And over here, you'll see how it shows up. And I
Okay.
can like scroll to the right, and you can see how that calendar event is able to be seen. I can click on it and view what's inside there. So I can add another thing, and you could have this resolution be by the hour, by the half hour, by whatever you want, but you can keep adding new things on different days.
Hmm.
Let's do this one on like the 9th, or how about the 6th, and this will end on the 9th. The location could be this cell, the resource could be this. I could add this event, and you'll see now that they kind of overlap each other where they would.
Yeah.
So this is like all Tulip, and you get pretty much the same thing, you know?
Okay.
So it's an option for you if you want.
So you have a table there where you have the dates.
Yeah. So the way this is stored, let me just go to like,
Mhm.
let me show you the table. The table is really simple in the background. And there's no, you know, let me share something different. New share, I'll share this thing. So there's just this one table called resource calendar, or calendar, I think. Calendar. And it's just like, what's the ID, what's the title, who created it, when was it created, start, end date, the status,
Okay.
and then any other information you want to have. I just added some location, description, resources, but you could add in other things if you wanted.
Okay, so you have an array to display the dates
Yeah.
and
The
things.
only
Oh.
the tricky thing about it is how that works to get the visual.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you don't have to rewrite it. You can just use what we wrote, but it does rely on the connectors demo. And you can have this app. We can just put it in your instance if you want. But basically what happens is it displays the calendar by pulling it from the Tulip table API. So we're
Okay.
just pulling that table data, and then we're sending it into the connectors demo to like transform the way it looks. And then we're displaying it the way that you saw.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah, I
it's
mean
like a little
that could
trick.
be.
I mean, so it's a little bit of a trick to make it look that way, to interact the way you want to. But you could always just have the table. Like here's the table being shown in its raw form.
Mhm.
If you want to display it in different ways, you kind of have to transform the data a little bit, and that's what we were doing.
Yeah, and that's the problem because we already have the table with the start end date, but they want to see visually that they're overlapping the jobs and things like that. Kind of exactly what you're showing up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can get it added to your account. If I can follow up, if you know, just send us your account
Okay,
details, and I can add this app to your account.
great.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've got a quick question on that app, Mark.
Yeah.
With the previous and next button on that like top bar, can you point to that?
Yeah. Oh, like in the app editor?
Yeah, or just like you here, it's got current calendar, and then right below it, it's got like the previous and the next.
Yeah.
I've got a pick table. I find on the touchscreen on the tablets they can't scroll with their finger. So I've got like a bill of material. Maybe there's like 40 items, and the scrolling with the finger is not easy. So are those just buttons that kind of shift the list over?
So this is an unusual example because we're shifting to the right. We're doing some weird stuff here, and the way that's happening is it's basically re-querying it. So if you want to use buttons, you're essentially going to requery the thing.
Okay.
So like if you wanted to display your items in a pick ticket form, it'd actually be pretty simple. Like if you wanted to use your pick ticket list and you wanted to shift it up and down by maybe like 10 or something.
Mhm.
Have you played around with the Tulip Table API at all yet?
No, not yet. I've definitely heard about it, but I haven't.
So you could probably even do it with the embedded tables, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
If you have them in sequential order, if there's like a sequence. So I'm not sure if your table has like them listed in a sequence that is listed as like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever.
No, not quite. Not yet. I'm sure there's a way though, but not at the moment.
So Tulip Table APIs, and this is going to be something that's built into the product really soon, but or as far as like interactive from the editor, but the APIs are really pretty great. You can pull tables, and you can pull subsections of tables into your application, and you can actually offset it. So I would use the table API, the Tulip Table API, and basically like pick 10 at a time, press the down button, which is going to offset it by 10. Then I'll show the next 10. Down button, offset, show the next 10.
Yeah, that's cool. The one thing I'll note is that I'm not actually using a proper table. I'm like, because we're using ERP NetSuite, and I'm pulling in the bill of materials as an array, like an object array.
Oh, that's even better. That's basically, yeah. Do you want to share your, I'm not sure if you want to share your screen, because depending on how that works, that is the query already. So all you need to do is change your offset.
All right, let's see. And then after this, I'm gonna run out of here. Okay. So I'll show you. Maybe I'll pull it up in the app too. But I essentially here, I'll pull up the app as well.
So they're scrolling on that thing, and it's difficult for them, basically, right?
Yeah, or like I want them to be able to scroll through the list, and that it's not super easy at this time. I'm not sure if it's like a tablet thing or a Tulip thing, to be fair, but I think it's a nice functionality to have.
Yeah, I mean, I find on my cell phone when I have an embedded table, I can just like move through it just like I would anything else really nicely. But
yeah, that's what I'd like to get to for sure. Here we go. I'll just put in a random ID. So here, that's on my screen. Nice to.
This is your pick list?
Yeah, it's gonna populate a pick list in a moment. So unfortunately, this one's not that. Okay, so one thing I did, so maybe there is, who knows, like 12 items on here. I found that the scroll didn't work, so I limited the amount that could fit. So it was 10, so they could at least go like page 1, page 2.
Yeah.
But I find like this text is a little small and not good for like my big finger. So I like the idea that you have about like the just querying down. And for what it's worth, I can also show you the.
Yeah, let's take a look at that connector.
Okay. Now I'm gonna preface, some of my connectors are ugly.
I mean, all of mine are ugly. So
this one, I'll show you that to Eddie. I think you'll find this funny. Our here. Oh, maybe I got rid of it. Okay, never mind. But our bill of materials used to be really bad. But okay, so this is the connector function here. And I'll even input the same ID.
let's see, connector.
So it's outputting. I've got these strings getting output. Maybe this isn't the right one. Could be.
So there's a parameter that you can use somehow in this. Like you maybe even just try. Like how many got delivered to you? 5 items, 12 items in there?
Yeah, it looks like
12.
12 is the most. Yep.
So that's weird that they're not like.
It's because not all the data is populated. Like I created a new variable for like the pick location, and they haven't all been inputted yet. Or
well, it might. I think there's a way. Like, and I'm just guessing, but see where it says and ID equals internal ID?
Up here? Yep.
At the end of that, if you typed in and, I'm guessing here, there's documentation for this, but if you type in and limit equals 1, and then press run it. Now, the chances of this being right, who knows? Okay, so that's not right. But basically, there is some sort of parameter you could put in there that's usually associated with the word limit of some kind or offset or something like that.
Yeah.
And that controls like which records they would show you,
No,
or how many they would show you typically.
Yeah, I follow, or I see what you're getting at. That's a cool idea. Yeah, it's such a can of worms, man.
Yeah, APIs, man.
Like there's something like, for example, we use these phantoms in NetSuite, and they're like not helpful for picking because I'm not picking the phantom, I'm picking the items in the phantom. That if I could find a way to like eliminate that from the list too, so the operator doesn't have to pretend they're picking this like fictional thing.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm maybe someday I can filter out when it has this it says PHA for phantom if I filter that out maybe, but
yeah, SQL, man. I mean, having APIs, they limit you to exactly what they will let you pull. But SQL, like for example, SQL lets you do whatever you want. So it is tough working in that way.
Yeah, and maybe Dave, the other thing here is that I see that there's like, these are 5 text arrays. It would also be useful to like organize it into an object and then like an array of objects essentially. So if you go ahead and like just copy this connector function, yeah, exactly. And the first one there, instead of text, yep, list of values.
yeah. I feel like I did this somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this one, the first one, the extractor for this will just be dot columns. Yep. No, sorry. The extractor will be. You can leave that. You can leave that like data. Or something. Yeah.
But it's, I put like the period here, and then let's see.
Yep. Exactly. But so. Oh yeah, that should work as well.
I'm gonna go wild here.
No, you actually have to add it inside. Exactly. Yeah, inside the object right there. Yeah.
I did this for another feature. This could be the wrong connector, but this could be helpful for you, some other folks though.
Yeah.
Because this was a big change in it's like a dramatic change in the API.
Yeah, this is super helpful. When I learned this thing, I was like, oh man, it is possible.
Yeah.
It spits it out like a table, you know?
And so I don't know, it's because I haven't like been able to, I don't know if I want to, but wrapping my head, having the bill of materials populate to a table to be manipulated. I'm just kind of like skipping the table step, it seems like, and just going straight to
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to figure out too, right? Where it's like, if I populate the bill of materials to a table, then it's just easier to manipulate inside of Tulip. But then it's like, how often do you refresh that table to make sure that it's always up to date?
Yeah, like a puzzle I'll toss to you folks, and maybe we try again next week, but when they're picking, I'd like there to be a field that confirms whether it's picked or not.
Oh yeah.
What I'm hoping to accomplish is that the operator has to click this item. Here's the name. I think I'm gonna have them scan the name. So it's like, okay, that's the item I picked. And then there's a shelf location, and then they're saying that's where that item was. And so the item may move, and they'll input a new location, and the NetSuite will know that location. But I think if I can get a column for just like, it's been confirmed.
So I should show you something, because it uses an ERP, and I think it's coming close to what you want to do. It's picking. It's a water spider pick application. Before you leave, I was tease you with this puzzle. I was trying to tease you with this thing.
Mark, is this the one that you were building with Grant?
Yeah, this is yeah, it's that one. So
Oh, yeah.
so basically, these are like, okay, these are like approval routes for like who would be like this. You're picking hoses, or you're picking arms, or you're picking boxes, right? So you click on this, and you see these are your pick tickets. So you click on a pick ticket, and you have these sequences to pick for that pick ticket. So you complete the pick, and you'll see that it is going to let you know that it's basically pick those things and show them up and it's gonna like show them up as a green check, which is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
What makes this complicated is that you can also click on this, pick partial. I can pick this one completely, and I can pick this one short or something. And I guess I have to have a bug in this thing, but if you pick that short, and what it's going to do basically is like indicate that that entire sequence is at risk now. So the whole thing will turn red, and then you have to like address the one that was picked short. But you see here, this one's been picked red.
Yeah.
So that's like sort of what you're talking about, where you can click on this thing and you can pick it and it would show up green. And I think that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And I think I feel like I could figure it out if the bomb was in a table, but because it's in the object array, I like that's where I'm a little stumped. That I feel like the solution I would tell myself is I may need to make a column in NetSuite that confirms like as just a Boolean true or false, and then like have a connector function every time it gets picked, have that API pick that or something.
Yeah, otherwise you'd have to like have a table that mirrors what you've picked in Tulip, right? So every time you pick this unique pick ticket, date, whatever defines that unique pick, like you'd have to link it. The problem is you can't join those tables. So like you can't show them together necessarily, you know?
Yeah.
And you want to display them together. So your solution actually might be the fastest way to do it right now. An alternate way, which I don't love, is to basically take your, like it's not great, but what you do is you basically take the output from the API as a JSON string and you send it into like a different connector with the Tulip tables API as a JSON string, and then you join them in the connector and display them as you want. And it's just like, it's just not no code, so it's like sort of annoying, you know?
It sounds like DNA strands.
That's it's not the
Sounds
most
very
fun,
simple.
but that's not the simplest. But that's another way of doing it if you want to keep them as separate tables for now.
No, I'll definitely consider that. I think right now I'm still just focusing on like getting all the time connections, and then I'll get to that layer of like confirming the picking or just trying to take it like step by step. But you'll definitely hear from me again on this topic, I think.
I mean, it's definitely something we need to build easier into the product somehow. But there's so many different data sources everywhere; it can be tough.
Yeah, but that's it for me, folks. I'll catch you later.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Always great
Just
seeing you.
before you jump off, so I've been looking at doing pretty much exactly what you were saying. And so one of the ways that I was thinking about it, if you manage to get the bill of materials into a table, if you put a column on there that multiplies it based on the work order that you're picking against, so you know your quantity, and then if you have a Boolean on there, if on your pick list app, if you insert a Boolean variable, that every time that gets checked, that updates that table record so that you can see on that table if it was picked. And then, next time that you run that pick list, it just clears it so that you always kind of have that fresh pick list. You kind of use the table as your record of, if things were picked this time around.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder, is it like I've been able to get the bill of materials as an object array, but is there a way you guys think to get that input into a table in Tulip? Like,
So you could do that via using the table API. So essentially, but I mean, it gets pretty complicated and it gets outside of Tulip quite a lot. But essentially, you would pull the information from NetSuite and then write it to the table as a, you can just insert a series of records. If you were to do it from an app, you'd have to do it record by record, and it would take a while and it would be a little bit complicated. But the way that I've seen it done is, using the table API.
All right. Well, yeah, I'll definitely consider it. It's not the battle for me to pick this week, but I think it's going to be a hot topic at some point.
Yeah.
But all right, I'm Jed. I'll see you guys later.
See you, Dave. Thanks for joining. Awesome. Cool. There any other questions? Any other things that folks wanted to cover today? If not, awesome. By the way, have you guys still been using the check-in and out app at PFF?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Every day?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, in both buildings.
With in both buildings. Oh,
Yeah.
nice. And
Yeah.
what? And it's with the QR code on the phone that people just show and sign.
Yeah,
Okay, nice.
yeah. So that's something that's kind of outside of my responsibilities right now, but it's definitely something that I'm interested in trying to tackle to make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing is, especially because everyone has a fob to log in, so just getting it to go that way, I think, has the potential to be cleaner. And then
Oh, yeah.
putting a foot pedal. So I was actually thinking about this. If you put a foot pedal to check off all the Boolean questions on there,
Oh, yeah.
and then you could have this as this like completely like no contact kind of interaction.
Yeah. That'd be great. Yeah, we were actually talking about the start also doing it with like break beams on the side of the computer screen where like you just make it green like yes and you just wave
Yeah,
it.
that's actually something that I was really interested about from the user council, I believe 2 months ago. We were doing a lot of the business tracking, or a lot of the like the machine vision stuff, because we have quite a handful of those cameras lying around. So I'd be really interested in what people do with that.
Yeah, so I think I heard it a little bit, but were you saying essentially using the break beams as inputs?
No, not the break beams. The real sense that you guys are doing for the vision.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
like being able to do kind of zones that way. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
yeah. Right, like okay, yeah, for sure. It's yeah, we can do like gesture recognition. So
Yeah, I mean, because we have plenty of those cameras, so it would be a pretty easy thing, I think, to get going.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, especially nowadays that it's always dangerous to touch screens. It's yeah, it does make it a lot better. But yeah, because I remember you'd also talked a couple months ago about actually adding QR codes next to each of the stations and then like signing in with your phone, right? Like printing QR codes and then.
I guess.
See you, Mark. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, so we ended up going just because every traveler on the product has a QR code, so that's actually kind of we've pretty much moved the traveler from being a paper copy or like a paper record to being fully digital in Tulip. So that's really fun. That was kind of one of the last pieces of paper that we had on the floor.
Nice.
So now you scan every robot on the QR code, and it shows you every single completion that the robot has gone through. So then you can see, and so it was really fun actually. You just hit on the screen, you just hit next, and it checks the table to see what was which steps still haven't been done, and it brings sequentially to the next one.
Huh.
So it's really kind of allowed the team to really build a lot faster now because
awesome. Yeah.
they don't have to select which app they're going to start building. They just hit next, and it tells you.
Oh wow, yeah, it's really cool.
And it's really helped a lot with data capture. And so now we have some pretty solid data on all of that.
Nice. That's awesome. Perfect. All right. Well, yeah, we'll catch you maybe next week. If you have more questions, feel free to, we have this every single week, so feel free to join as often as you like. Yeah, we'll be here.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
All right. Awesome. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.